Welcome back. We're now going to complete the car body. So, last time we created the wooden block and then we cut the passenger section out. This time we're going to cut a rectangular portion from the front and from the rear side, and they are two different sizes. You're going to need this document from either the Word document, or I believe I put this picture in the assignment, but you're going to need access to it so you can see these dimensions for the front slot, and then down here the dimensions for the rear side. So we're going to start with a rectangle, and that rectangle is going to be 2.4 inches width with a height of 0.93. So 2.4 and 0.93. So what we're going to do is on this front, we're just going to right click, and that brings up the radial menu, and now we can choose New Sketch. And we're going to zoom in, and now we see that front view, and this is where we can draw our rectangle. So we choose the rectangle tool, place your rectangle. Rewind. I don't want to start off bad, so I'm going to rewind it. I just wanted to undo that because what's happening is, as I was drawing this, you saw some green lines show up. Those green lines are the backside features, the hidden features, in case you wanted to make the rectangle here the same size as the rectangle here. Those lines are showing up. That's not necessarily what we want. So we want to make sure we avoid those green lines as they pop up, and see it leaves a ghost behind it. We want to avoid that. So I'm just going to go here, and I'm not going to let it lock into anything. I'm going to stop here, something like that. We'll go back and dimension it later, but you do not want the sides of your rectangle to match up or line up or lock into any of the other hidden lines. So now we can dimension this. We said the base was going to be 2.4, the width, sorry. Now it's okay if your rectangle goes out. All I have to do now is hit escape, and I can now grab my rectangle and drag it back into place. You can grab the lines and resize them that way. Now once we do the height, so you can grab it left to right, that's fine. The height was 0.93. 0.93, and that's our rectangle. Here's the problem. I can tell just by looking at it that this right side is narrower than the left side. So we need to make sure this gets centered. So how do we do that? Well, we're going to look over here on the diagram, and we see that there's a dimension here that measures how far away this left side of our right side of the rectangle is from the outside of the part. So it's 0.39. So we're going to go ahead and set that dimension. That means from here to here. So I'm going to dimension from here to here. I'm going to click this side, then click that side. And now we have a dimension. And you can put the number outside, that's fine. 0.39. So it slid it over. Now in theory, I don't have to dimension this side because I have this measurement width. I have this measurement width. So whatever's left is over here. It doesn't need a dimension. We're going to do the same thing with the height. We already know that the height of the rectangle is 0.93. We need to figure out how far from the top or the bottom it is. 0.3. So here's the dimension we want. 0.3 is the height from here up to the edge of the block. So 0.3 on that. So I'm going to dimension from the top of the rectangle to the top of the block, and it is 0.3. So now the block is where it needs to be. It's located horizontally and vertically, as well as dimensions. There is one thing we need to add before we move on and make a cut. We need to fillet these corners. We're going to round those corners off. And we're going to do a 0.2 round. And we did this last time. So if we go to fillet, here's your fillet tool here. Click on fillet tool, and then click. Yeah, see what happens? It gives me a big arc. I do not want that. So I'm going to click this line and this line. So what's happening is that's too big. what was it, 0.2? No, that's fine. So if we're going to click fillet, change it to a 0.2, and then click the 2 lines. That's what we want. We've already got it over there. That's the wrong one. We'll have to go back and change that dimension there. We'll do it here, and we'll do it here. So this is a 0.2, this one's a 0.2, this one's a 0.2, but this one was a 0.25. So hit escape if you need to, double click on the number, and now we can change it to a 0.2. Now, this is in sketch mode, so don't worry about where these dimensions are. Don't worry about whether these numbers are overlapping. That's not important in sketch mode. It is important when we do the drawing sheet. All right, so we're done with our sketch. Now we're going to cut it back. So it's going to, the rectangle isn't, instead of growing new material to the left, it's going to get cut back into the block. And if we look here, it's 0.57. So 0.57 is what we want for our extrude cut. So we go to extrude up here in the top, click on extrude, select the box. So the first thing we want to do is select what it is we're extruding. We are not adding material, so we want to change it from join to cut. So click here, and now we're cutting back. Right now it's 1 inch. We don't want 1 inch. I'm going to change that to 0.57. Click OK. And that is the front slot cut out. Now we're going to look at the back. So all I did was rotate my block. You see what I did? I clicked on the corner here. That's the corner. That's the isometric corner. So this corner right here mimics this corner here. So if I want to rotate it and see the back side, I just click the corner on my cube, and now I can see the back. We're going to put a new sketch here. So I need to draw another rectangle there, but this time we're doing a different set of dimensions. We're going to do these down here at the bottom. Looks like 0.57 depth is the same, but the width on the previous one was 2.4. Now we're doing a width of 2.5. The height on the previous one was 0.93. Now we're doing 1.0. And you'll notice these are different as well. So 2.5 and 1.0. That's what we're going to go with. So let's draw a rectangle. Remember, don't let it get attached to any of the hidden features behind it. So we'll draw a rectangle like that. Leave it there. I'm going to dimension. Top or bottom doesn't matter. Top or bottom doesn't matter. Make sure we grab the side. It keeps grabbing that back. Yeah, that's what we want right there. So this is 2.5. It's okay if it's outside. We're going to go ahead and do this one. This is 1.0. And now I can grab the rectangle, hit escape. I can grab the rectangle and slide it around to kind of get it close to center anyway. Now we want to dimension top. How far away it is from the top. It was 0.27. So 0.27 rectangle to the top of the part. And 0.34 on the right side. So over here, we're going to have a dimension from here to here of 0.34. Okay. Next, 0.2 fillets again. So we're going to fillet to a 0.2 again. So click on your fillet tool. It's set for 0.2 because that's what I used last time. And I'm just going to click the corners. Hover until you see the little arc in green show up. It's not showing up yet. There it is. Now my extrude cut is the same distance of 0.57, but it's not a growth extrusion, an addition. It's a cut. So flip this here. Make sure you push this button. Make sure it goes back into the block. And click OK. Almost done. The last thing we want to do is we want to round off these edges. We need a fillet on those outside edges. I may have tried to do that in the video last time, but I didn't save it. So what do we need? Looks like it's a round of 0.3. It's the same thing. Yep. So it's 0.3 all the way down. So we're going to do fillet again. Here's the fillet tool. We're going to go ahead and change the number here to 0.3. We're going to click on this edge. Click on the bottom. You have to rotate it. You can move this window out of the way if you need to. I'm going to click here. We're going to click here. And that's it. So I've got it all scrambled up, so I'm going to click the home. And there we are. We're back to the front. That is your car body. The last little thing to do would be to put a little racing stripe on it, which we could cut this little, basically you're making a little rectangle and you're cutting the groove. This is an optional feature. I'm not going to require you to do it. I would normally, but you know, we're kind of pressed for time right now. So I'm not going to worry about that. But you have your Automoblocks body part. I will show you this tool though. We're going to right click on this side, put a new sketch, and this time instead of putting shapes, I'm going to use text. So I'm going to click on the text tool. Actually, I'm going to drop that window down. I like the geometry text. You can use that or regular text. It really doesn't matter. So I'm going to use the text tool. And I'm going to click on this sketch that we've opened. And now I can type in whatever I want. So I'm going to type in, this was a pickup truck. So it was the T9 pickup. And you can make that bold, just like you would in a Word document. I'm going to italicize it because I like that. I'm actually going to make it a little bit bigger. I'm going to get 0.24. And let's see how that looks. All right, see, it's rotated. So now what I want to do, I'm going to hit escape. I'm going to click on it. And I'm going to try and grab a corner and see if I can rotate it. Nope, that didn't work. Do I have to double click on it? Can I change rotation here? There is a way to rotate it. How do I rotate it? I'm going to try the rotate tool. Here's the rotate tool. I don't know if this is going to work or not. So I want to select it. That's what we're selecting. And then you want to select the center point that you want to rotate it around. There's the center point. Okay. Now I've rotated it. So I've rotated it the way I want. I'm hitting escape because now I want to drag it into place. Because you know cars have these either at the near the bottom or near the top on the side. So the reason I'm putting that on there is I want to show you the emboss tool. So we go up here to emboss, and this is where it can become raised out of the surface, or it can go into the surface, engrave it into the surface. But I want to emboss it, so it's going to come out a little bit. That may be too far. Let's see. I put 0.1. Is that sticking out too far? Yeah, for a toy, it's probably sticking out a little too far. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to go over here to the far left. I'm going to double click on emboss and I'm going to change it to 0.05, which is half of 0.1. There we go. And that's it. I put the model of the car. You could put Camaro, Corvette, Mustang, whatever you want. You put your name on it. And that just is a way to make it a little unique. Okay, so the next video will be on making the drawing sheet for this, which is what you will submit into Canvas. See you soon.